Konnichiwa, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Josuiji Shinri here from Guild Tempus of HoloLive English. It's good to see everyone here. Konnichiwa, konnichiwa. Yeah, so we're like messing around with a few things today. The thing down there, that's a Wiggly. Wait, I wonder, did I should have included it in the descriptions of all my streams from now on. Let's see, let me just double check real quick. Oh no, I suppose it's not there today. Oh, I thought it was supposed to be there. I had included it as part of, what was it again? The monetization stream, but I guess it did not. Interesting. I guess it didn't save the description. Give me just a moment, chat. Let me go ahead and grab the information real quick so I can correctly give credit to the artists. All right, and there we go. If you would like to see the credits for it, you should be able to update it or like refresh and then see it. I think I might be a little bit too big. Here, I can like shuffle over to the side a little bit. All right, chat. So, oh, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. All right. So I have a couple of things I want to talk about today. Konnichiwa, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night. If you guys, maybe time zones, good time zones, I guess. We'll say it to everyone. Oh no, wait, did the schedule tweet not go out? No, don't tell me. I stayed up late to make sure that, it did not go out. You guys are right. Oh gosh, today, transitioning back into a full week of streams after the weekend is, so a moment to like stretch and like shake off all that rust. All right, thank you for the reminders, everyone. Thank you. All right, so chat, we have a couple of things to talk about. We have so from the very beginning, I guess, thank you everyone. Again, I know I keep mentioning this, but I keep wanting to emphasize just how much all of your support means to us. So thank you so much for supporting the boys and me here over at Tempus Vanguard. We need to figure out a proper way to address all the super chats. I mentioned this a little bit last night when I was playing the convenience store. So for those of you who have been following and watching my streams for the past week or so, you kind of, I hope you all have a good sense of the type of gameplay that I really enjoy. Things like really getting into the lore and like really figuring out what it is, what it is about the game that is, there to uncover. So, one of the things that I do want to point out is that when I receive super chats during the gameplay, I end up just, I err more on the side of thanking you for the super chat, but we'll probably address the content of the super chat later on, so that so like for example, like if someone were to watch the VOD of the convenience store, they wouldn't be too distracted with me constantly like jumping back and forth between the lore and trying to address super chats. So things like that, and when the games are very story heavy, thank you so much for the super chats, everyone. Thank you. Just for the practice, right? So we'll be during the games, we'll be focusing more on those. If I see the super chats, I'll thank them. Otherwise, we'll just continue on with the main lore, stories, the quests, and all that. However, though, I also want to give you guys proper address, a proper recognition for all the super chats that you guys send us. So I do want to have separate stream. Good morning, Hakka. Did Altair let you free from the demon realm he trapped you in? So I want to have a separate stream that's mostly about super chat reading, but I don't particularly know how to frame it. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Just wanted to congratulate you on your monetization now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, welcome back, Hakka. So I don't really know how to organize things, I guess. Some of you may have noticed I've been like putting up some community posts on YouTube. I've been trying to figure out a way to organize all of my streams and all the content that I create, just not only here on YouTube, but also for other social media websites like Twitter. I do have an Instagram. If you actually check the corner of my banner on YouTube, I have links to Twitch, TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, and Twitter, I think. So I have like, sorry about that. Oh. The weather. Apologies for that. So we're working on trying to get all of those in order and in like a nice little system, I suppose, where we would be able to have a proper like a rotation or cycle where we go through all of the materials. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be posting on them. So I'm trying to figure things out, and we do have to get like a proper check from manager-san to like approve of how we use things and make sure that we're not like, you know, getting into troubles or receiving bonks. So it'll take a little while. So I ask that you all bear with me when it comes to, you know, putting everything into high gear. We're still trying to feel things out and just, you know, get things organized. So today, I want to experiment a little bit with just how we do super chat readings. So one thing that I've been told to watch out for is to pay attention to how you do a Zatsudan and how you do a super chat reading, and to try to keep them distinct. Like have a clear delineation between this stream here will be for a Zatsudan, this stream here will be for a super chat reading. And I was a little bit silly and did not properly plan out a super chat reading stream. So what I think I'll be doing is just to be able to clear out some of the super chats from monetization today, I do want to go through a handful of the super chats and just kind of see, maybe give ourselves like 5 to 10 minutes to just kind of go through. And I want to see the pace that I have just naturally, I suppose, whether we need to speed things up or slow things down. But I just want to take out a couple of moments here just to see how we can get there. So I'm just like curious to know, mostly just what I say, mostly the super chats, I guess. We'll see how that goes. All right. So give me a couple of minutes this morning before we hop into our Zatsudans, because I do want to talk a little bit about the lore of the convenience store. I got so excited. Okay. Wait. Let me just like spill a little bit, because like I think we're on the right path. All right. I think we're on the right path, because we're starting to piece together exactly like what happened, because like the grandmother came into the shop and was like, all right, this used to be my daughter's home. Right? And like, if you see the different types of buildings around the area, right? How that Weideman area was cleared out, right? The question is though, that little shack, what was that little shack? You know? Because one of the videotapes, all right? One of the videotapes that we got, I believe it was the second one, right? That one was from a view inside the shack. It was looking outside the window from inside the shack. So why was that? so old? Like, why was that exercise? Like, why did we have to put those little talismans and like little sigils on there, right? Maybe part of the original house. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. And I may have like a little overlooked it in the moment because it was a little bit spooky. But yeah, many of you guys caught the fact that there was a television set on the inside of the shack that was still powered. And on the screen was a number 4. And there's a lot of like negative and like eerie connotations about the number 4. But like exactly what was it trying to say? Was it trying to say that anyone that went inside it would die? Was it trying to say that this was a place, death. Was this a place of death? Did death occur in that area? And I don't think it means the death of the manager who we saw there with his eyes kind of bleeding out. I think it meant this was a place where death had occurred. And because of that, there are evil energies around there. Because you noticed when we were clearing out the mice, right? Or the little rats, right? We cleared them out. We never really saw where the main character put away the rats. We could assume because we cleared out the rats in the backyard, or not the backyard, the back alleyway. Thank you for the super chat. Congrats on monetization. Thank you so much. Seeing as you like Minecraft, would you be interested in recreating Tempest lore on there? Ooh. We'll have to think about it. The boys and I do have a plan, but we'll have to keep that a secret for now. But yeah, so like we never see where the main character put away the mice. But I'm thinking to myself, because it was only a day after the main character cleared out the mice and then put them away into the trash can, because we have to keep in mind at that time when we cleared out the mice, the yellow caution tape was still up. It had not fallen down yet. So there was no way that the main character would have been the one to deposit or like just discard the rats inside the shack. And don't forget, the shack was locked. So there would be no way for the main character to be the one to put the bodies of the rats in there, right? So now you have to wonder, how did those rats get inside there? Right? There were 6 total rats that we got, so there was a lot of rat bodies, but the tape was up there, so it could not have been any of the employees, it couldn't have been the manager. Something must have gotten in there, but we know that by looking at the position of the tape on the ground, something came from the shack to the convenience store. So I want to know more, because is there more, like maybe the rats happen to just, congregate in areas of, this negative energy, just negative, just like it was like death, just, I guess. Do they end up in those areas? Like, do they congregate there and then just end up dying or possessed? Ooh, yeah, possessed. And then I just want to know, like, what happens when you pick the other options, right? Okay. Anyways, I went on a little spiel. So we will talk about more the lore of these stories later, but I do want to go ahead and do some reading of super chats just to kind of properly address them and thank everyone. So here we go. From the monetization stream, we'll go through a handful of the super chats. So the very first one, let's see, the very beginning, I need to keep scrolling down. I was watching over the VOD last night because I wanted to see where I could improve. And one thing that I noticed is that I believe my noise suppression filter is actually suppressing a majority of my gasps. Because I know that there are moments in the stream when I got startled and then I would gasp, but I don't think it came through on the stream properly. So what I think I'll be doing is turning off the filter. Yeah, there were multiple moments when I think the model moved and like just jerked around on screen because I'd be like gasping and like recoiling a little bit in fear and shock. But I don't think the gasps came through because I don't actually scream outwards. I scream inwards, is what I've been told. So I think I will look for a way to try and not entirely disable the noise suppression, but I guess reduce the intensity of it. Inward screaming, yeah. How does that work? All right, so I don't know is the real answer, but I think it's like some like reflexive action that my body takes to inhale and have like a nice fresh breath of oxygen in case I need to, you know, fight or flight. Just like whenever that like activates. But yeah, so I'll see about adjusting the noise suppression, so that you hear more of my startled noises, because right now I think it's very, very quiet or very, very muted at the moment. The big problem right now is that I think many of you are aware that my PC is a bit of a potato. So it is a little bit of a potato. So it's the fans are very loud. We're trying to keep this at a certain level of noise suppression so that the PC fans don't like get too loud when I'm streaming. But yes, oh my gosh, we're 20 minutes now. Okay. Chat, bear with me for about I think we'll try 5 minutes. All right, we'll try about 5 minutes. I want to measure our progress in super chat reading for about 5 minutes and see what if we have a good pace or not. All right. Okay. So from monetization, RNA, thank you so much for the super chat. Congratulations on monetization, Shinri. Comfy Zatsudans are a staple of my weekdays now, and it's a warm cup of coffee in my mornings. Look forward to watching you play horror games for me. Welcome to HOLOSTARS. Oh, thank you. See, Luca Kuran, thank you for the super chat. Battalion Ringleader, ooh, that's cute. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Shinri, love your content, man. Just extremely comfy and chill vibes all around. Here's some money for the discounted bentos. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pattern Mantle, thank you so much for the super chat. Konnichiwa, Shinri. This will be my first super chat, and I'm honored to send it your way. Your first? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Don't forget to pace yourself and hydrate. Congrats on debut and monetization. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Theos, thank you so much for the super chat. Blank, thank you for the super chat. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. Konnichiwa, Shinri. Congrats on the monetization and good luck with the hot sauces. Drink water if you need to. Don't destroy your taste buds. Thank you so much. Oh, and the Flip Man, thank you so much for the super chat. Didn't get to send one on monetization, so here it is now. Smile. Thank you. Rose, thank you for the super chat. Iron Chuckery, thank you for the super chat. Pyro Sheep, thank you for the super chat. Alter, thank you for the super chat. Itko, or Lieutenant Ku, I think. Thank you for the super chat. Konnichiwa, congratulations for monetization. I bought a tom yum soup and ready for the ASMR. Oh, all the slurping, right? The slurping. Hope it wasn't too difficult. Small Haru, thank you for the super chat. Congrats on monetization, Shinri. Had such a depressing week, but your comfy streams truly helped me get me calm. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you. Jessica, thank you for the super chat. Box Freeze, thank you for the super chat. Sejo Crux, thank you for the super chat. All right. The little snake. The snake emoji. Okay, chat. I think this gives us a good... All right. I think I have a good handle on the pace. On the pacing. I want to... how would I do this? I will have to go and I believe properly have a separate super chat reading stream. I don't think I will be able to really address the amount I want during a regular Zatsudan. So I think at this point, I do read a little bit slowly and I do read out loud some of the super chats. So it does end up taking it some time. So with that, thank you so much for giving me a couple of minutes for that. but there are still quite a lot of super chats out there. I'm gonna go and I say this. We do have that restriction, the 1 hour restriction so far, which is why all the boys and I have our schedules set up the way that they are at the moment. So I think if you guys will bear with me for this week, I would like to keep the rest of the Zatsudans here this week, mostly just the Zatsudans, because this is kind of where I think a lot of people already have fallen into the routine of coming into my chat and just hanging out and having a wonderful time without getting too inundated with super chats. So what I'll do is I will try to see if I can find a separate time where I make it solely just super chats, just to keep them separate, I suppose. But I'll have to ask for like an additional hour, I think. I am already pushing the boundaries a little bit by streaming 2 times almost every single day. I might be able to sneak in like 1 or 2 extra streams that are just super chat readings if I frame it right. Like don't tell Manager San right now. I'll find a way to properly phrase it and frame my request. So it'll be like an extra hour stream, but it'll just be for super chats. Oh gosh, pushing the envelope. I really do want to get to all of them, right? Your health comes first. Oh, thank you. So I'm actually pretty fine. I would say I am confident in my own like physical well-being when it comes to just the number of streams. I do have, I think I'm pretty good. I have like a good metric or bar or my own self. Like I know when my throat's starting to get sore. I know when I'm starting to feel the strain, and I'm pretty confident in being able to take care of myself in that regard. So thank you for the concern. But we need to distract manage. Let's see. It may have to end up being a little bit further down in the week. So maybe Thursday or Friday. I will do my best to see if I could sneak in an extra stream. It's just for monetization readings and super chat readings. So please keep your eye out on the schedule. I'll make an announcement on Twitter once I'm able to get that confirmed and approved. But just looking back now, I want to try to keep them separate. All right. So if you do send me a super chat during these Zatsudans, I'll probably address it, mostly because it's easy for me to address, talk and respond to the super chats while I'm live and looking at the chat, as opposed to playing on the games. But do keep in mind that a majority of the substantive discussion about the content within the super chats will take place during just separate standalone monetization reading streams. So thank you all for understanding. Thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, now that's out of the way, let's go back. Okay, chat. I wonder. All right. So I say this having only really played 2 of the Chilla's Art horror games. Okay. So the very first one that we played was Night Delivery, right? And in that one, we found out that one of the give me a moment. Give me a moment to like wrap up my thoughts properly, because this is pulling a little bit of like meta lore, meta commentary, meta discussion, based off of other types of Japanese horror media. All right. So the reason why I think maybe they're not Chilla's Art games always tie back to societal issues. So that's a clue. That's what I'm thinking. All right. So I was thinking about some of the horror games or the horror like media, the content that I've been watching. So for example, The Grudge, and like The Ring, and a lot of it ends up being things that are like how would I say it? Like I believe like in The Grudge, the way that it was explained was like areas of just like intense emotion, intense feeling, just like either through hatred or through just sadness, loss, just like very strong emotions in general, end up causing a place, a location, to become cursed, to become almost like possessed with that emotion, with that powerful feeling. And I'm wondering, that seems to be a very common type of thread, something that kind of like connects all these two. Yeah, it takes on that energy, exactly. So I'm wondering, does that carry over to these games? Because they are Japanese games, and they do seem to have some kind of discussion about the like societal issues, like Chad just mentioned. So I'm wondering, like maybe the reason why in Night Delivery that area was just so, I guess, haunted. We had so many like supernatural experience, or like not experiences, supernatural phenomena taking place in that area. It's because of just how much the discrimination against being disabled, against having a disability, the impact it had on Kohei. And just thinking about, like, he wasn't really a social, a butterfly. He kind of had to go and interact with people one at a time. And this took place not over, a single day. This must have taken place over the course of, a week, at least, at the minimum. So, like, assuming, say, Kohei had the strength to work up the courage and go and interact with the people in the apartment complex, once a day, like one new person a day, like at the very least, it would have taken him a week. But I don't think it was a week. I think it must have been a lot longer than a week. He did his best, endured it for so long. Exactly. But can you just imagine how stressful it must have been, how painful it must have been to feel that emotion and to feel it so powerfully that it ends up like just infecting the area around him, to the point where even his own apartment unit, the room 404, manifested, because it used to be 405, because they don't like the number 4. They don't want the numbers of the rooms to end in a 4, but it was so powerful that it actually manifested itself as a separate room, as a little mailbox too, because none of the other floors had 404. It ends up imprinting on the areas that he's lived. Exactly. And just to think of how much he had to go through and how much he had to, suffer through trying to just live there and just do, just be part of society. Thank you for the super chat, Doctor. Thank you. But like, we have that. We had a little taste of that. I know we rushed the ending of Night Delivery a little bit. I wish I had gotten a bit more time to read through the letters, because I think at the very end, almost like as a visual representation of Kohei's mind, the way that he saw how would I say this? For those of you who may have missed the stream, Night Delivery, at the very end, not that very end, but like very near to the end of Night Delivery, there was a moment where the stairs get blocked and the elevator stops working. Instead, what happens is that all these walls, all these ladders appear, and they start to break apart and get in the way of your ability to travel through the apartment complex. Maybe that's like almost a manifestation of just how lost Kohei felt. Just lost in how to try to navigate the people who lived in this apartment complex, or even just as a way of saying, I don't know how to, go through just society in general. Like, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to get to where I need to go, or even find the people I need to find who can help me. Lost and confused, yeah. How hard it was to connect with others, exactly. That's why I think, the apartment complex and the ladders and just how confusing it all was, I think that was part of, a way to let the player know and experience the gameplay through that mindset. Because we had a whole bunch of items. We had a whole bunch of packages that needed to be delivered. So, like in our mental checklist, we knew where to go. We know how to get there. We know where to go, but we don't know how to get there physically, right? So we know, like, a package says, oh, this package goes to room 202. We know it's supposed to go there. But then when you have to ask, how do I physically get to room 202? Just think about that. I believe it's a way to demonstrate to the player, like, the particular disability that Kohei had. Because we know from hints, we know from little bits and pieces of the stories, the things that the neighbors had said to Kohei, we know that the disability was something physical. We know that it was readily apparent on the body, right? I think that it was a very good way to just get the player into that sense of, like, this is very confusing. I'm not sure where to go. I have to keep stepping back and, like, look at the big picture, try to map out where it is, and then, like, go back into the ladder, go back into that maze to try to figure out, all right, how do I get my package and how do I get it to that particular room? And I think it's a very good way to do that. That's the red, the ominous aura. That's the stress and the confusion. Exactly. So I think that's a very good way to, not only just convey the message, but also give the player a peek into what it's like to physically maneuver around in that world through those obstacles, And I think it's a very great way to do that. So I think based off of that now, right, let's move into the convenience store, right? We know that, okay, so a couple of things that I was thinking about when it comes to the lore, what we saw there, right? One of the big things that stood out to me was almost the dichotomy of the mother and the son. Oh, Diva, thank you so much for this super chat. Ooh, that was very loud. Oh no, I guess I may... Chat, give me just a moment. I must go silence my phone. All right, we're back, chat. You guys heard nothing. All right. Give myself some real coffee because finding myself a little bit dry in the mouth. We're talking about the night delivery for there, right? Okay. So, going to the convenience store now, all right? Going off of the assumption that Eliza, thank you so much for the Eliza. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. So, going with the assumption that places of very potent and concentrated negative energies, right? Yeah, the dichotomy between the mother and the child. So the reason why I asked that is because there are two things. One, every single time we encountered the mother, something bad happened. There was a very vengeful force that happened every single time we encountered the mother. For example, I skipped through the little jump scare, but there was that one scene in the camera when we were looking at the camera where the mother was staring directly at us, and then she jumped out and caused a loud noise, and then damaged the CCTV to the point where it was blurry and just unusable at that point. So there's one incident, right? The second time was when we were trying to help Kohei, or at least not even help, but just find out what's going on and talk to Kohei, right? Then she appeared there and almost attacked us and knocked us out inside the storage closet, where the convenience store supplies were kept, right? And then finally, Ken-kun, I apologize. I gave the names mixed up. Ken-kun. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. Sorry, I'm like really like into like the moment right now, so like I'm getting them crossed over a little bit. Okay, so Ken-kun, right? So we're trying to help Ken-kun, and then we saw the mother figure standing there inside the storage room, and she almost attacked us in a way, like to like blank us, to knock us out. And then, of course, at the very end, we saw what happened when we picked the option to watch the VHS tape for the last time. We saw a recording of our room and, you know, our little table with the little chinchilla and the bag of potato chips, right? And one thing that I noticed was that the entity that came out and attacked us was the mother, not the son. Neon, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. So the question is, why is it the mother who constantly seems to be the one to enact that vengeful, the harmful presence, you know, the harmful influence to almost reach out and cause us injury, right? Yeah, we theorized that she is protecting her son. So this is where the dichotomy comes in. The mother is so angry. She has so much, you know, vengeful power that she's lashing out and attacking people. She's attacked the manager. She's attacked our main character, right? But then you look at Ken-kun on the other hand. And he's just having a ball. He's having fun. We saw him playing with the door, just kind of standing around and like dancing with the automatic sensors of the door opening and closing it, or just running around the outside of the store, right? So what is what's happening there? Because like at no point did Ken-kun ever attack us. At no point did he really like enact an influence on us that we can consider to be a negative type of influence, right? So the question is like, what happened to Ken-kun? Maybe, so the thing that I'm thinking about is like, maybe Ken-kun was just an innocent child. Maybe Ken-kun passed away while he was still innocent, while he still had that childlike sense of curiosity and play. Nothing bad happened to Ken-kun that would impact his, you know, his knowledge, his experience with the world. But he, unfortunately, I'm assuming he passed away very young, passed away without really experiencing too much of the world. So for him, for Ken-kun, he's still just a child. He's still playing around. He still wants to have fun and play with games, right? So because of that, I think that's what happened. I think maybe Ken-kun died in the past, like died during the construction of the convenience store. That's the only way I can think about how this would work out. This would be why the mother is so protective, so vengeful at the people who work at the convenience store and not the other guests. Because so far, we don't know anything about, say, the mother's influence on the guests, customers, I would say, the ones who come in and out and, you know, purchase some goods and then leave. You know, nothing really happens to them. There was a moment where the grandmother comes in and says, "This was my daughter's house," right? So, okay, to be fair, this is a little bit of a stretch, but I'm wondering, what if the timeline goes like this? The daughter used to live there with her son, Ken-kun, and unfortunately, due to some, I guess the most like broadest way to put it would be due to some financial issues, due to some hardships, they were made to sell the house. They were made to sell the land that the house was built upon. However, Ken-kun was still a child. Ken-kun doesn't know what's going on. So during the moment of construction, when the house was demolished, in the same way that the grandmother came back and said, this used to be my daughter's house. Maybe Ken-kun, as just an innocent child, wandered back onto that land. Because to Ken-kun, this was still his house. This was still his home. This is where mother would take us. Unfortunately, because the construction was going on of the convenience store, there was an accident. And that's why Ken-kun's spirit is still there, playing around and just messing around with the electronics, having a fun time running around the outside of the building, because to Ken-kun, it is still just his home. And because of that, the mother became distraught. Not only did the hardships cause her to sell the house, sell the land, and see her family home get demolished in the place of, a very fancy new convenience store. Her son ended up getting injured or passing away. Something bad happened. And then because of that, well, yeah, the bridge thing. We never really got to talk too much about the bridge. I thought it was just like a little a way to set up the moment, but we never really got enough information. We may have to go back and check it out then too. But I'm thinking like maybe the mother, knowing that, ended up like perhaps taking her own life, perhaps jumping off the bridge. Something happened, which would be the catalyst for that very strong emotion, for the very intense feeling of not only just loss and pain, but hatred against that area, against the convenience store. Yeah, the manager did say someone fell there, right? I think we do need to go back and check on them a little bit. Yeah. So I'm wondering to myself, like, what is really going on? Because that's how it makes sense in my mind. She did lose her son, and because of that, she's lashing out at the thing that caused, or at least contributed to, the passing of her son, which was the construction of the convenience store. Now, you have to think about, when did this really happen? Because we do have not necessarily a strong point in time that we can connect these two, but we do have the grandmother who is still alive. Now, she's elderly, but we don't really know how old she is. We don't have like a specific numerical date, right? But the hauntings didn't start before our protagonist. That's a good point. That's a very good point. We don't know if there were additional sightings or additional incidences, because we did mention that the manager mentioned that, what was it? The main character did report the doors opening on themselves. It was the first time that was reported, and as far as the manager went, someone had come and just checked and brushed it aside as, oh, it was just a loose wiring, right? It's not really a ghost, but it was just the loose wiring. So why the protagonist, the catalyst, the trigger for this? But why her specifically? Because we've been in the inside of the protagonist, the main character's home. She lives alone. She lives, in a small bed. Her living room even is not very well furnished. The wallpaper is coming down. There are cracks inside the walls in the corners of the room. We can, I don't know if it was like black mold or just like the graphical like depiction of just like rust and wear and tear. Seems like a rented apartment. Wait a minute. You're right. Because there was very little furnishing. Her living room, her kitchen, the bathroom, the sink, there's very little furnishing there. There wasn't that much there. All of the furnishing that she had was inside her room, just in her bed, the little heart-shaped pillowcase, the small, little mat underneath the table. But there wasn't that much else inside that apartment. So yeah, maybe it was a rented apartment. Because we did look in the kitchen, and I mentioned that she did have 2 walks. That she did have a fairly big, cooking area or just a little, a lone girl, that would be a lot of cutlery, right? Because we saw our main character only eating the bentos that she took from the convenience store. We never saw her cooking. Because why would she need to cook that much food using that much material, that much kitchenware, right? So yeah, chat, I think you guys are right. Maybe it was a rented apartment. The apartment had a little chinchilla. I think, this is just me, but I think the chinchilla is not a lore-related item or lore-related object. I think it's just a little hat tip and a little nod, a little wink to Chilla as like the developer. Chilla for Chilla's art. I think that's the little wink towards it, right? I don't think I really think it's cute to imagine that the main character loves Chinchilla and that's why she has a plushie. But I think that's just merely like a little an Easter egg for the developer. But no, like everything else about that chat, like it does make sense. So the question is like, what really happened? What connects that particular apartment into the overall story of the convenience store, right? My theory is based on very little. My theory based on very little is that the manager sent the protagonist the first tape trying to get rid of it. Because we did get the option at the very end to send it off, to quote unquote send it off to someone else. Oh, maybe. So in that case, would it be more that the videotapes are the manifestation of the mother's anger, her just like strong, powerful hatred against the convenience store? And it's not necessarily the place, like the physical location, but all of it is embedded within the tapes. He tried to pass on the curse to save himself, but it didn't help. So that's how she keeps going, right? Exactly. The question is, who made the original tapes? Where did they come from? How did they initially get possessed? Wait. Chat. We never really got a good look into the shack. We never got a proper look. We know that there was a television on there. On the television was a number 4, but I was a little bit overwhelmed with just what's happening that I did not look at what else could have been on the shelf inside the shack. Ooh. Is that why the manager's eyes are dug out? The video in the room. Maybe there is like a camcorder, a cassette tape player, or like a recorder, something that would be the initial catalyst to take the energy and put it into the VHS. Maybe there's some equipment in there. Maybe her body's in the shack. Maybe there could be a whole bunch of variables about where the body could be, but we know that her emotions were strong enough to leave a lasting impression in the area. So we're gonna have to go back and check. Maybe, what if the injury that the manager suffered was self-inflicted? What if the injury was self-inflicted, chat? He did not want to look at the VHS tapes. He knew that there was something going on with the VHS tapes, which is why if we assume that he was the one who sent it to us, if we assume he's the one who's trying to pawn off the VHS tapes to someone else to get rid of the curse, he must be aware that watching it and seeing the contents of it would cause the curse to be placed upon you. And we know that we saw his body inside the shack. It was locked. So maybe there was something going on. Maybe the curse was affecting him too, to almost force him to watch the tape, because what was in the room? Only a chair and a TV. the very least, it was almost as if he was being forced to watch it. But he knows not to watch it, because if he does watch it, it gets worse. So, what if he inflicted the injury on himself? He gouged out his own eyes to make it absolutely certain that he would not watch the tapes. What if that's why the injury, like, oh my gosh, chat, like, just the fact that there's nothing but a chair and the TV in there. Yeah. Glee, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. But like, that's what I'm thinking, right? Is the manager related to the mother and child? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of questions still out there, right? The ring, exactly. It is pretty plausible. Because here's the thing, generally what happens is, like, the parties are usually not necessarily connected. I thought someone else took his eyes. That was my immediate knee-jerk reaction too. When I saw his face and I saw the eyes bleeding out, my immediate thought was someone took his eyes. But thinking about it a little bit more, I'm not sure someone else took his eyes. I'm pretty sure. I'm more than willing to bank on the idea that the injury to his eyes was self-inflicted, right? So the confusion I have is, how does the manager really connect into that area? Because the parties are generally not necessarily connected. And let me explain. When these construction buildings or these construction, I guess, jobs are set up, generally what happens is, like, a contractor is picked to go ahead and construct the building. They will subcontract out various parts of it. So, like, for example, the foundation, or like the internal, the electricity, the wiring, the plumbing, all that stuff. Like, that stuff is like subcontracted to the point where the main contractor is really at most overseeing the overall operation and are in charge of subcontractors. Like, even just like the employees and the workers who work there may end up not being owned or like employees of the original contractor. They're just like employees of, or independent contractors to the subcontractor that the main contractor hires to get the job done, right? And when these construction jobs are usually done, it's sold to sold or leased to a franchise. In this case, whichever chain the convenience store was, right? So when we look at the way that these are built up, there's a lot of separation there. There's a lot of distance between the manager who works at the convenience store and the construction that took place. There's a lot of steps and a lot of people that are involved into getting there, right? So the question is, why is the manager connected, right? Because let's say the construction company builds the physical building itself, right? They build the building and then they lease it out to the franchise, whoever operates the convenience store chain. The convenience store chain then would want to assign a manager or hire a manager to take over that particular branch, that little building. And then the question is, why was that manager affected? Now, we could think and say that maybe he just happens to be, as a manager, the one who worked there the most often, right? Like, he's the one who is there when the store opens. He's there when the store, or like at the night shift when he exchanges over, maybe it's because he's simply there in the presence the longest that he is also affected, right? Or maybe there's something more going on there. Maybe there's something more going on because, here's the thing, the grandmother. Because the grandmother is still alive, we know that the convenience store is fairly recent. It's pretty new, like a Karen targeting the manager. But like, think about it. The grandmother is still alive, right? And says like, this is, this used to be my daughter's house, right? So think about that, like maybe 20 years, 15 years? It could not have been that long, because if the grandmother is still alive, you know, like let's say she is, oh, I don't know, she was able to walk around on her own at night with the cane. So, with the walker, I mean. So, oh, like 70 or so, right? Which means if she had a daughter, let's say like at the age of 20, right? Then the daughter would have been like 50 years old, or like maybe like 45 years old. And then if the daughter was 45 years old, no, it couldn't have been that long, right? Maybe she was younger because the mother was there, and Ken-kun was only a small child. Like, I would guess maybe 8, 12 at the most. Like Ken-kun, the way that he was depicted as a spirit was still very young. Yeah, still pretty young. The construction must have been happening during his lifetime. Exactly, that's what I'm thinking, right? Because Ken-kun wasn't a toddler. Ken-kun wasn't a child. He was not a toddler. He was a child. Someone who was able to run around and, you know, run up and down, jump, and like climb on things, right? Which is why I'm thinking, because of the construction, that's where Ken-kun got in around there, right? So Ken-kun couldn't have been that old, which means that the mother also could not have been too old either, like maybe in her 30s? At most her 40s, right? Which would make the grandmother, yeah, like about the 70s. That's what I'm thinking. So we know that like it happened within the grandmother's lifetime. We know that it happened within those like 40 years or so. No. It happened within Ken-kun's lifetime, sorry. I'm getting my characters mixed up. It happened within Ken-kun's lifetime, right? But yeah, I mean, the grandma's the catalyst. Oh, the bathroom. Yeah, the bathroom did go a little bit haywire. We never really figured out what happened there too. Oh gosh, chat, there's just so much there. Okay. One of these days, we're gonna go and have to plan out a way to address the other alternate endings, because chat, I'm so sorry, but do you guys get it? Like, do you guys see how exciting it is just to like theory craft with so many with so few pieces, but just enough pieces to start making those connections, to draw the lines and be like, wait a minute, it's not just isolated incidences, right? It's just enough to begin piecing together everything, right? Now, here's the thing. Now, here's the fun part. At the beginning of the stream, we chat did mention that there was this layer of societal commentary, right? So in the night delivery, the commentary was just how rude and how harmful that treatment of people with disabilities are, and just how much that can impact the life of someone who's just trying to, you know, be part of society, just to be, you know, even friendly with the neighbors in your apartment building, right? And now we have convenience store, where we talk about just, you know, how these old family homes may be demolished in favor of newer, fancier, literally conveniences, right? We're getting rid of the old and like replacing them. But like, what do we lose? Maybe it's about urbanization. Yeah. Like, what do we lose when we do that, right? And we destroy and demolish all these, like, who gets hurt in those moments, in those transitional periods, right? Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, there's so much, but we can't. We're actually out of time. Okay. We're gonna have to put a pin on this. And like I said earlier, about the super chats, we'll have a separate super chat reading stream. I'll try to find out schedule, so please keep your eyes on Twitter. I'll make an announcement and an update there. But thank you everyone for just hanging around and just kind of humoring me as I kind of just, you know, mentally or verbally theory craft just like the lore behind these stories. So there's a lot more chill as art horror games, and I want to go through every single one of them. Okay, so here's my plan. My plan is, my ultimate stream idea, I tweeted this out a little bit, is that we're going to stream a horror game all the way through, right? And then we're going to go back and get the good endings, or get all the alternate endings. And then afterwards, we'll have a nice little 2-hour chat where we just talk about the game, talk about the story, talk about the lore, right? That's what I hope to do. But alas, it'll be for next time, all right? we'll see you all later. We have a collab with Bettel today in about 11 hours or so. So please keep your eyes out for that. Thank you so much again for supporting the boys tonight. So again, have a wonderful day. See you in a couple of hours, or see you in about 11 hours, and have a wonderful time. Bye bye, chat. Bye bye. Koyasumi. Koyasumi.